Hey there, it's me, Lori Sunathurda. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Rufio is here with me and we're hiking around. We're in my office. Welcome to my office. Office is where your heart is. We're reading In the Four Doors by Richard Paul Evans, and we're on the third door, magnifying your life, magnifying who you really are. And we talked about taking the risk. Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots that you won't take. Richard Paul Evans says one of his personal favorite risk experiences is the one that he calls taking the seat. When I first entered the publishing world, it was a lot different than it is today. There were no ebooks. In fact, there were almost no books sold on the internet. Chain bookstores were still unheard of in many parts of the country, and for the most part, the book industry consisted of thousands of small, independent bookstores, the so-called mom and pop stores of yesteryear. This book-selling landscape presented a nearly insurmountable challenge to a writer like me, a new unheard-of author who didn't have the backing of a major publisher. To get my first book into bookstores, I traveled around the country to regional book shows. This was both time-consuming and expensive, but I believed in my book and wanted to push my dream as far as the September before my book was to come out. I flew to Denver to the Mountains and Plains Book Show, hoping to introduce my book to booksellers. I rented a small booth, then sat behind a table looking for booksellers, identifiable by their red badge. Unfortunately, after several hours, few booksellers had walked by. I sought out one of the show's organizers to find out where all the booksellers were. "They're with the authors," she replied, "in Hall B." I walked over to the adjacent conference hall. Sure, there were hundreds of booksellers in roped-off lines waiting their turn to get a free signed book from one of the best-selling authors sitting in the front of the room. Can you imagine that? How do I compete with that, he thought. As I stood there wondering what to do, I noticed that there was an empty seat at the author's table. A little voice said to me, "You want to be a best-selling author? Take a seat." There was no way I was going to take the seat. There were guards up there. They'd throw me out. As I turned to walk away, justifiably resigned to the unfairness of the situation, victim mentality, right? That small inner voice said to me, "How much do you care about your book? If you're not willing to fight for your dreams, who will?" Powerful questions. Those words hit me hard. Before I could talk myself out of it, that's that emergency brake, 5-second rule, right? I went back to my booth, grabbed a box of my books, and returned to the crowded hall. I climbed the dais, set my box down on the table, and sat down between two best-selling authors. Someone noticed out of the corner of my eye, I saw one of the show personnel making a beeline toward me. When she got to my side, I looked up and said, "Sorry I'm late." The woman just stared at me for a moment, then said, "May I get you some water?" "That would be great," I said. I sat there for the rest of the session, handing out my little book to hundreds of booksellers. Sweet! Way to go, right? Next year, my book was a New York Times bestseller and one of the most talked about books of the season. My publisher sent me out on a book tour, and I was invited back to the same trade show in Denver. Only this time, I had an entourage, my agent, my publicist, and my publisher's representative. I was not only listed on the show's program, but on the cover of it as well. As I walked up on the stage in the very same conference hall, I recognized the woman from the year before. As she walked up to me, I asked her if she knew who I was. "Of course, Mr. Evans," she replied. "Everyone here knows who you are." "That's not what I meant," I said. "Do you remember me from last year?" Her eyes suddenly lit with recognition. "You're the guy who crashed the book signing table." I smiled. "That's me." "Congratulations," she said. "You made it." "Thanks for not throwing me out," I said. "I was going to," she said. "That's my job. But when you looked up at me, I just couldn't bring myself to do it." She smiled, then said, "May I get you some water?" I love that story. Not just because it happened to me or because I'm a sucker for happy endings, but because it illustrates perfectly what life asks of us. You want to be happy? Take the seat. You want freedom? Take the seat. You want a meaningful life? Take the seat. Don't even hesitate. It's 5-second rule. Get up and move. If you don't move, the pain of fear will be bigger than you could ever imagine. Jump on it. Take that action. I know you can do it. I believe in you. Whatever it is that you can imagine for yourself, whatever you desire in your heart that you want to do, just do it. You were made for it. Those desires aren't there just because. You have everything you need to make it happen. So go for your dreams. Use your imagination. Take action. Take risky actions. And take that seat. And we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.